Welcome back to my channel. I'm Chris. Today we're working on this Venus McFlytrap. We will be turning her into my own playable character, a fallen Aasimar ranger with the name of Belial. We start as always by removing all the clothing accessories, cut the hair really short, use pure acetone to remove face, and also to take the flocking off the side of the doll's head. It comes off fairly easily if you soak a pad in pure acetone for a minute or so, and then you can just kind of wipe it away. I had to use a little pressure, but nothing too horrible. After all of this was done, I gave the head a nice bath to remove the acetone. I did leave it on long enough for it to shrink just a little bit, and it got a little harder, but not so hard that I could not do the reroute. Once all of the prep work is done, I use a hairdryer to warm up the vinyl, pop the head off, then using a flat bladed screwdriver, I go in and scrape all the plugs out, and then using a pair of tweezers, or I think I was using tweezers here this time, I pull out all the little bits and glue from the inside of the head. For the reroute, I'm actually using 3 shades of red. My character originally had very long, slightly curly, wavy red hair. In the original description, later on you'll see that I've actually changed that for this doll. I was looking at the hair for a long time and realized that probably really bright red hair would actually be like a detriment to somebody who hides in the forest. So I wanted to make sure to emphasize that Belial would actually probably hack it off with a blunt type cut using a knife or a dagger. But here you can see I used the darkest color with a little bit of the medium color mixed in for the bottom layers, then the medium with a little bit of dark and a little bit of light for the middle layers, and then the very top, the brightest color with a little bit of the medium mixed in to give me a nice variegated red hair. I secure the plugs on the inside of the head using my fabric glue. And here's where I lost all the body modification video. It was all corrupted. I will try to explain as we go here. So on the doll, I cut at the neck, at the back, shaved down the chest, and cut off the feet to try to straighten out the posture and make this doll a little more androgynous. I stole the feet off the Jackson Jekyll doll there and added it using wire and then epoxy sculpt. Once everything was dry, I sanded everything down, the whole body, using the different sandpaper sponges there. Then I gave the gray parts a coat of white, and then using my own mix of pan pastel using white and the permanent green to color match, I was able to color match all the parts that were epoxy sculpt to the green of the original doll. Then using that different shades of green, the original permanent green and the green tint, and my own special blend, I decided to go ahead and body blush. I use colorless blender to try to blend the colors a little more seamlessly. I do the shading around the joints, at the hips, along the sides, just anywhere that I would be more in shadow is where I'm putting the darker shade of green. And I use my special mix to try to keep those colors blended smoothly. I use a clean brush to brush away excess, and the colorless blender to make that seamless. Here you'll see in just a second I try to make fake abs right here by highlighting the center of where the abs would be and under the pectoral muscles. Nobody's going to see any of this because this doll will never get a makeover again. But, you know, it was worth a try just to see if I could do it. Moving on to the face, I reattached the head to the body after a final layer or two of Mr. Super Clear. Wrap that body up in another bandana to protect the body from the face up process. And then I use the exact same shades of green to do the contouring on this face. I'm trying to make the doll look a little less feminine and a little more androgynous, as my character is listed as gender non-binary. So I go in and do a little heavy-handed contouring, emphasizing the cheekbones, the jawbone, sinking in the hollows of the cheeks and the hollows at the temple. Not really wanting to do a makeup look. I want it to look just difficult to tell what gender they might be. I did sink in the sockets of the eyes, using my darkest green pastel there, and the colorless blender to make this as seamless as possible. I did use my chalk pastel pencil by General to make the scleras as opaque as I could get them. Now using my different shades of red pastel, I want to put in the eyebrows. Normally I do very thin eyebrows on my doll since I have more control over them that way. I don't usually do really thick eyebrows, but I wanted this doll to not look so feminine, so I needed some chunky eyebrows. Once I have them the shape I like, I will go in with all my different watercolor pencils. These are Derwent Inktense watercolor pencils. I'm using brown and a couple of shades of red and a little bit of black at the ends just to draw in those hairlines, the eyebrows. And at this point I think I'm on layer 5 or 6 of Mr. Super Clear. I do start with a couple layers of it, and then as I need to add more. At this point you can see that I've done irises on my doll. Asamars don't have pupils, but it doesn't say they don't have irises, so I did do irises and I made those into a gradient from the darkest green down to the lightest green. Here I'm doing a little more shading, tight shading around the nose, giving the nostrils some shadow, adding those last little bits of black lines in the eyebrows. I did do eyelashes and eyeliner, but I didn't go heavy-handed on that. I used my pencil as sharp as I could get it to draw in the lightest lower lashes that I could. Here I'm just emphasizing the corners of the eye and going over again, trying to get that gradient. Eventually I realized that the gradient isn't exactly what I wanted, and I want the eyes to look more jewel-like. And you'll see that I put in some mica powder in 2 different shades to get that sheen. And it wouldn't be a nerdy doll creation video if I didn't give a beauty mark somewhere. So there's one right there. For one of the final steps, I'm adding some of the pearlescent pan pastel in that green. Awesomars are celestial touched, and I thought maybe this would kind of make it seem like maybe they aren't quite human or quite of the material plane. Mr. Super Clear will dull this down a bit and give me just exactly what I want. I am removing it from where I didn't want it, like on the eyebrows. And at that point I realized I forgot to shade in the upper part of the eyes where the eyelashes would cover. So I'm using my black pastel to do that, and then the cotton swab to lighten it up a little bit. I just want a hint. And now I am using a little bit of water, a little bit of the mica powders from Arteza, and I don't remember the other one, other brand. And I put in the lightest at the bottom, and just a little bit of water on my micro brushes, and the Arteza at the top. They're both oddly called Emerald, which is actually how my doll's eyes are described. I forgot to show it, but I did use my lightest green pastel to shade in this whites of the eye. Again, make them just a hint of green. Now using a little bit of acrylic paint, which by the way, don't buy this brand. It is really not good. I should not have used it. I am putting in the little catch lights. Just a couple of lines, a line in each eye and then a dot in each eye. Some final layers of Mr. Super Clear to seal everything in, and the face up is done. I think I achieved a pretty good replica of what I wanted for my doll. I really actually liked the way this doll turned out. So here I'm revealing everything. Take the wraps off. And it's at this point when I start thinking that this red hair, it would be like a beacon in a forest setting, which is where Belial starts off. So I decided to go ahead and brush it out, tame it down, and using my pet brush, I do end up losing a lot of fibers there, which if I had thought about it before, I would not have lost them because I wouldn't have rooted it that long. I would have made sure the pieces were short, but you live and you learn. I use my hair straightener to straighten the hair, and then my pet brush to brush it out, and it gives it this nice silky sheen. Off camera, I did the hairstyle because I was fighting with it and the doll kept moving around and the footage just was not good. And now all that's left to do is to get the doll dressed. In the other video, you can see how I made most of the accessories in the outfit. Put on the breeches, put on the tunic, put on the armor, put on the bracers and whatever the top part of the bracers are called on the upper part of the arm. Off camera, I do lace these up. It is really difficult to do on camera. And then I decided that I needed to add some distressing because my character had already been in a few fights by this point. So I added some distressing just with my scissors anywhere that I thought maybe would be appropriate for having been in a fight or two. I lace up everything, add the bracers, add the shoes, And here's the final doll. I hope you like them as much as I do. Thanks for watching. Stick around for the photo shoot. Bye!